is Radio Romania International. You are listening to our one-hour broadcast in English for listeners in Western Europe and Africa. We can also be heard on the internet at www.rri.ro Channel 1. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter and other social media platforms. Our programs are also available on TuneIn and via satellite Eutelsat 16A on 11,512 MHz, vertical polarization, azimuth 16 degrees east. Symbol rate 29,950 mega symbols per second, standard DVB-S2, modulation 8 PSK, audio PID 510. We wish you good reception conditions.
I'm Merasmian with the news. The headlines. 1,271 new cases of SARS-CoV-2 infection have been reported in Romania in the past 24 hours. The Romanian president has promulgated the state budget law and the social welfare law for 2022. And Romania's national men's handball team is playing tonight at home a new training match with Turkey's national team. The Romanian Health Minister Alexandru Rafila announced on Wednesday that the duration of quarantine and isolation for people suffering from COVID-19 will be reduced from 14 to 10 days, as in most EU countries. In her turn, Adriana Pistol, the head of the National Center for the Monitoring and Control of Communicable Diseases, urged people to get vaccinated in the context of a future pandemic wave caused by the Omicron strain. 1,271 new cases of SARS-CoV-2 infection have been reported in 24 hours in Romania, out of over 42,000 tests, and 35 deaths, 2 of which were from the previous day, the Strategic Communication Group announced on Wednesday. Since the outbreak of the pandemic in Romania, over 1.8 million cases of COVID-19 have been registered, and almost 60,000 people diagnosed with the novel coronavirus have died. The country has the second lowest vaccination rate among the 27 EU members, after Bulgaria. Less than 7.9 million Romanians have been fully vaccinated. That is a little over 40% of the eligible population. About 2 million of them have also had the booster dose. Romania's President Klaus Iohannis has promulgated the state budget law and the social welfare law for 2022. The next year's budget, prepared by the governing coalition made up of the Social Democratic Party, the National Liberal Party, and the Democratic Union of Ethnic Hungarians in Romania, is based on a 4.6% economic growth rate, an average annual inflation rate of 6.5%, and an average gross salary of 6,095 lei, the equivalent of about 1,200 euros per month. Also, the government debt ceiling was set according to the EU methodology at 49.8% of the gross domestic product, being estimated at 260 billion euros. Funds of over 96.3 billion lei are allocated for the payment of public system pensions, which means 7.32% of the GDP. The document was challenged at the Constitutional Court by the opposition Save Romania Union, but their notification was rejected by the court judges. The magistrates explained in their motivation issued for the first time on the same day with their decision that none of the challenged issues represents a violation of the Constitution. Save Romania Union accuses that the government has not allocated through the state budget the necessary funds for the local administration led by the mayors of this party. The National Liberal Party leader, the former Prime Minister Florin Câțu, also criticized the fact that the draft budget for 2022 does not provide for a 7% of the GDP allocation for investments, as agreed in the governing coalition, but only 6.7%. Romania's national men's handball team will play tonight at home in Cluj-Napoca in northwest, a new training match with the Turkish national team. The two teams also met on Monday when the Romanians won 26-24. The friendly matches replace in the schedule of the two teams a new edition of the traditional Carpathian Trophy, which was to be played in Cluj too, but which was cancelled after many players contaminated with SARS-CoV-2 were found in the groups of the other two participants, Switzerland and Iran. After the training matches, the Romanian handballers will play also in Cluj between January 7th and 9th, 2022, in the preliminary qualifying tournament for the World Championship, where they will play against the national teams of Israel, Cyprus, and the Republic of Moldova. The coach of Romania's handballers is the famous Spanish Javi Pascual, who won the Champions League with Barcelona 3 times. The Omicron strain of the novel coronavirus is spreading rapidly in many countries, but the number of hospitalized patients remains low for the time being. The UK on Tuesday recorded nearly 130 new cases of COVID-19, which is a new record, and 18 COVID-related deaths. An absolute record since the beginning of the pandemic has also been registered in Portugal, 17,000 new infections in the last 24 hours, in a country with the highest vaccination rate in the world after the United Arab Emirates. And that's the news.
Health workers held protests in Bucharest and around the country, demanding that all salaries be brought to the level promised. I'm Cristina Mateescu with this report by Corina Crista.